KoBaC 8.
Hey guys, I'm Rich with shop.exordiumtoys.com, bringing you another Halo Reach Series 2 action figure review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Grunt Miner. Now, first thing, this figure comes with a plasma grenade, which he doesn't have any butt pegs, just like the Grunt Ultra, so, okay. It's still good to be able to get extra grenades and stuff for your different characters, or to kind of get him to kind of hold it. But he also comes with a needler. Now, the needler is kind of difficult to get into his hands. Like with the plasma pistol, you could kind of like slide it into his hands. Now with the needler, you have to kind of put it in sideways and then twist it in and stuff. And with his little stubborn fingers, he doesn't want to just like grab the gun. So I would recommend be careful when you're trying to put the needler into the Grunt's hands, and because you don't want to break your gun or the Grunt's hands. I'm betting the needler's going to break before the Grunt fingers do. You might want to use a blow dryer. Now, if you don't know, because maybe this is the first time you've ever heard of this trick, when plastic, for toys mainly, gets hot, or any plastic really, it starts to become very pliable and bendy, right? Well, what you do is you put the blow dryer and you just kind of use it to heat up the fingers of the Grunt, and then you can much easier open them, kind of slide the gun in carefully. You don't want to stretch the plastic to where it tears. You just kind of move it a little bit, slide the gun in, and then the fingers will close around it naturally, and then when it cools, it'll be holding the gun right. So that is one way to be able to get the gun in. Now, the Grunt Miner here is very, very similar to the Grunt Ultra. The biggest difference is, of course, the methane tank, or the backpack here on the back. There we go. And actually, when you pull the methane tank off, you'll even notice that the Grunt Miner here actually has the peg holes still to be able, because like when the Grunt Ultra had it, he had these little tubes coming off the methane tank here, and those would latch into these two peg holes right here on the side. So they've designed this thing so close to that even is there. So they've just used the exact same body. So is it kind of lame that they did that and they didn't fill it in and sand it off and then paint over it? Yeah, I guess they could have redesigned the sculpt just a little bit, but it's not a big deal, and I can understand McFarlane doing that to save money, because everything is crazy right now with the economies. Another difference is that the Grunt just does not come with, this Grunt Miner does not come with the helmet that came with the Grunt Ultra. Otherwise, it's like the exact same base figure right here. This is the base figure. Even the mask is the same. It might be a different shade of paint, but it's the same design. So the biggest difference is the methane tank here. This is the standard Grunt style look back from Combat Evolved onwards, where it had like that point. It's kind of like a triangle type thing. Now the Grunts all have different tanks, but back then they were always like this. So I'm glad they kept it, at least with the Grunt Miner, so they had that real memorable Grunt look to them. So, yeah. Articulation has a point of articulation here up in the head, so the head can rotate, but also has one at the neck where it can look up and down. It can rotate 360. There's a little bit of waist articulation here. The shoulder can open and it can rotate 360, but it can't really reach in, so you have to kind of use the elbow for that. There is no bicep articulation, and there is no forearm articulation, just in the elbow. There's also no hand articulation. I personally would have liked for there to be a little bit here in the forearm, somewhere on the forearm. Just because when you're holding the gun, this is how the Grunt holds the gun, just straight out at you. I would have liked it if maybe he could pose it a little bit so he can kind of have his elbow bent, because if he has his elbow bent and he's holding the gun, then it's kind of like this. You know, it's kind of just like whatever. I just would have preferred that. The hip articulation can rotate 360, and he also has knee articulation. Now, Grunts have never had much articulation when it comes to McFarlane Halo stuff, and that's not a big problem because Grunts generally don't move very articulated. You know, they kind of just waddle around like some ugly penguins, so it's not a big deal. And these figures, the Grunts are definitely better. And they're bigger, but I don't care about that. They're definitely better than they were back in Halo 3. Halo 3, the Grunts were prone to have their knees break, their hip to break. It was just some bad problems. And I'm so glad that they fixed those problems, because that was a big problem back then. Because the knees, I mean, you break a knee. It's like, what are you going to do with that? And the Grunts are always rare, so it's not like you can just go down to any old store and just pick up another Grunt, you know? So definitely way better than they used to be. Definitely. Paint job of this figure, I would say it's up to par. It's not the greatest. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the choice of colors, and it's not their fault for the choice of colors. Maybe, I don't know. I guess you get so used to seeing figures like the Skirmisher Miner, and then the way that they design like the Noble Team Spartans, and you're just like, wow, these things are painted so awesomely. And then you look at this Grunt, you're just like, he's ugly. But maybe that's the right way you should feel about a grunt, because they are little ugly little monsters that deserve to be punched in the face. I mean, that's what I think. I think that slogan should be on a shirt. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I am just mean to grunts. Maybe I'm just a grunt hater. Maybe. I don't think so, though. I don't think so. Now, to put him in scale, I have a Spartan here, so you can see the size of the grunt. Grunt is huge. It's very huge. And now the grunts themselves, which are actually called ungoi, that's their real name, but humans call them grunts, is that, excuse me, the grunts are actually about 5 feet tall, I believe. So I would say that that is about right. That is pretty close to being right, because Spartans Spartan 3s are around 6 foot something. So I'd say that they're pretty darn close. So they did a good job getting them in scale. Good job, McFarlane. And I like that about Halo Reach, is that the figures are definitely more in scale with each other. Back in Halo 3, yeah, many of the figures were not in the exact right scale, so sometimes people were like, okay, is that Hunter too small? Is it too big? Are the elites? They don't really seem like elite scale to Spartans and stuff like that. They've done a much better job with Halo Reach. I mean, they've gotten the scale much closer to being accurate. The only thing is that Halo Reach is a different scale altogether than Halo 3, but whatever. Anyway, I'm going to give this figure I want to say 5 out of 5, and I'll just say it. I'm going to give him a 5 out of 5. Compared to the previous grunts from Halo 3, this guy blows them, just destroys them, so it's definitely a 5 out of 5 in that regard. Excuse me. I don't know, that's like weird breathing problems today or something. But I'm thinking he should have a 4.5 out of 5 compared to other Halo Reach figures, just because of the lack of forearm articulation and him not being able to hold the needler so well. And maybe I'm just being really picky, but I'm trying to be honest with you guys and just be upfront and just tell you guys what I really think, instead of trying to, like, sell you the figure through the video, like, you need to buy this thing right now. Which I would like to say that you do need to buy this thing right now, because grunts sell out always. Pretty much always, grunts are sold really quick. So if you find grunts, you're going to want to pick up the grunt, because you might not be able to find it again. So that's just a heads up to you guys, just so you know. If you see one in the store, they are rare. They are rare. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you have comments or questions about this figure, post that down below. And anyway, thank you guys again for watching. Talk to you guys again next time.
Rawr, I'm a dinosaur.